Hello, everybody, and welcome in to another episode of the Couch GMs podcast. It's Monday, February 9th, 2026. I'm your host, George Kircho, by the one and only Cody Roadcap, on what is usually a very mixed emotion day because obviously we just had the Super Bowl, but that means the NFL season has come to a close.
Yeah, and one another season down, I'm still having technical difficulties out the wazoo today. Wazoo. Did not expect to say that on the air, but I just did.
Throw that on the bingo card, everybody.
Comment your favorite word we said this season, maybe. I don't know. But yeah, bittersweet. Always a good way to look at it. Obviously, the NFL is a 365 business. There's only 18 weeks of games, but, we're going to have the combine. We're going to have the draft. We're going to have free agency. We're going to have training camp. And before you know it, we'll be going, we're here already. Just got to get through that law in June at some point. But a lot of good stuff still coming down the pipeline.
And we're not quite a 365 business, but we're pretty close. Make sure you hang with us Mondays and Thursdays at 6:30.
You can count us 365. We
Yeah,
take a 2-week vacation.
you're right. It's just 2 weeks. We're gonna be here Thursday with you at 6:30, and then we're gonna take 2 weeks off. Come back in March in our one-a-week off-season format, plus some bonus episodes thrown in there to get you through the NFL off-season. Have a little bit more fun when we can do our speculation and just kind of go crazy, I guess. So make sure you're subscribed and joining us for that. Not only on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch where we go live, but also Facebook, X, Instagram, and TikTok at the Couch Jams.
I like it. Thursday's gonna be crazy. Bold predictions, random. If everything about the
Random
show that makes
rumors.
it bad, and like the side tangents, the stuff is like, bro, you spent now 20 minutes talking about the Browns and no one cares. That's the Thursday show. We get everything off our chest.
Yeah, so we schedule for an hour, and we're probably going to be here for like an hour and a half because we go on so many side tangents. It's going to be a great time.
Or somehow it'll be 20 minutes done. See you in March.
Yeah, something. Well, subscribe to find out. In the meantime, Cody, why don't we see what's happening? I got one thing on our what's happening, and it's our reactions to Super Bowl 60. Seahawks taking down the Patriots by a final score of 29-13. I don't think I was too far off in my prediction. We both had the Patriots win, or the Seahawks winning, yeah. So we're at least both right there. What were your initial reactions of the game?
My initial reaction was I spent 2 weeks trying to convince myself this would be a good game when I knew it was going to be easily won handedly by the Seahawks. That was my biggest takeaway. I think the
I
Patriots,
agree.
yeah, like the Patriots' easiest schedule ever to get to the Super Bowl, how well the Seahawks have been playing. Like even on, last week's show beforehand, it's like, let's go back by position and break down, maybe it's closer than we think. It's closer than we think. What happens if they lose JSN? They did for a drive. They went down and scored. Like it was just a beat down. I'm not going to say the game was boring. I know we've got a lot of that, it wasn't the high flying offense. Like the Seattle performance was fun to watch. Do you wish it was a better game? Yes. But hats off to Seattle. Hats off to like seeing that kind of domination. Uh, that was my biggest takeaway.
This Super Bowl was a lot like that Rams Patriots Super Bowl that finished like, was it 13-3 or something?
Yeah. I don't remember
Um
the exact score, but I know exactly which one you're talking about.
yeah, but I feel like it had more redeeming qualities than that game did. Because at least like even though there wasn't a lot of offense, it was like Ken Walker was going off. The Seahawks couldn't turn into touchdowns. They had a kicker who broke a field goal record for a single Super Bowl.
Probably should have been
Um,
MVP.
Probably should have been MVP. At least they gave it to Ken Walker and not Sam Darnold because I was worried they were going to do that. I guess they could have given it to a defensive player like Owosu who scored a touchdown too. It ended up that at the end of the game it had a little bit of everything. But the first half was so bad that I think a lot of people tuned it out or like hard to be like, well, I don't know if this game can redeem itself, and that kind of really took the wind out of its sail.
Yeah, I would agree with that. The it's funny, like as I think about it, like when we did our what do they need to win, and I was like, the Patriots need to hit. Drake May needs to hit those his 1 to 2 big shots down the sideline, that he's hit in every game. And you know what? He did hit them, but he hit nothing else. And it was
It's
just
so true.
like we got that 1 3-play drive to be like, oh, Are we going to get a fourth quarter game? Nope. He couldn't hit anything else to say. He was the one seeing ghosts this week, not Sam Darnold.
What was his interception over the middle?
The
one that made Chris Collinsworth even go like, haha, I don't even know what to say here.
Yeah. I mean, I get needing to try to do something, but it was just like, bro.
I don't know if it's just, I mean, I think part of it is just, it was a year early for Drake May, I believe. And it kind of did show. And it kind of did show, but go ahead.
I was going to say, maybe this is way overreacting. I don't think the Patriots make the playoffs next year.
I feel like it's within the realm of possibility. Going from playing a last place schedule to a first place schedule is a big deal.
Losing in the Super Bowl, there's always the hangover. I get that. But like the notoriously easy schedule, the Drake played in that last game, I think he can still improve. I think he's still on the upward trajectory. Don't get me wrong. Like, but I just think next season, if the Patriots miss the playoffs, I would not be surprised. And that's probably not that hot take. I feel like we see a lot of like Super Bowl losers not make the playoffs the next year just because of the grind.
And I don't think any of us are considering them one of those elite teams that always seems to come around, like the Bills, the Ravens most of the time. Like those teams where it's like, oh, even if they would say get to the Super Bowl and lose it, you expect them to be back. Like the Patriots aren't on that level.
All right, side tangent. I don't care.
Yeah, cool.
The Super Bowl wasn't the halftime show is the best part, but we don't need to break that down unless you want to too. But who's the best team in the AFC in 2026? Like right now, who's the favorite?
I could say 6 different teams.
Can you? Or like is it like
I could say the Chiefs come back because, pedigree.
If Mahomes plays week 1.
If Mahomes, yeah. I could say the Bills because they come out playing angry with a new coach. I could say the Ravens figure it out if Lamar stays healthy this year. You could find out the Patriots are real. We could find out it's the Dolphins because they're on the Super Bowl. I'm just kidding, not that one. You could say it's the Broncos because I really do think they should have been in this situation if it wasn't for losing Bo Nix. There's 5 already.
Which one of them are you picking over the NFC favorite right now? The top 4 NFC teams.
You see, I feel like the only one that I can be like, if the Chiefs come back out hot and they have a good season, they're the one I can be like, I could see them beating anybody. But that's a pedigree thing. They didn't show anything this year to make you think that could be the case. I'm just going off of history to be like, that would be the team.
Yeah. I feel like I would say Baltimore would be the team that intrigues me the most, just with a healthy Lamar. But yeah, maybe the Patriots prove me wrong. But, we don't need to talk much more about next season. We still have a whole Super Bowl to break down.
We do. But anyway, like the Patriots' last place schedule was one thing. But then we talked about their playoff schedule too, and how they had an ugly win against the Chargers. Was it 16-3? And then C.J. Stroud basically handed them the game against the Texans. And then they faced Jarrett Stidham. And I mean, Patriots fans, I'm not blaming you for being very passionate and being like, they can go all the way here. But there were signs that they were not good, at least on the offensive side of the ball, for most of the season and playoffs. But obviously, they were winning the games they were supposed to win against the teams that they were put up against. We can't blame them for that. It's one of Cody's favorite lines. But like when I went back onto Twitter this morning and started pulling a bunch of stats, and I'll probably throw some of them out there and have Cody react as we go. One I don't have on here though, they averaged less points per game than the 0-16 Cleveland Browns did back in that season. Sorry, points per drive in the playoffs versus the regular season 0-16 Cleveland Browns. I want to make sure I got that right.
Yeah. I mean, it was bad. I think a lot of that was pressure. I mean, Drake May was the most sacked quarterback in postseason history over the course of the 4 games.
Yep.
What was it? 21 times, I believe he was sacked, and pressure did him in early and often on this game. Hats off to Seattle. Like this game, like I said from the top, this game was a fun watch to see the dominance of Seattle. Like
Mhm.
that was fun. There is still a part of me that loves watching the Patriots lose in the Super Bowl. So that was fun. Now, anytime the Patriots touched the ball, it was like, okay, can we get the ball back to Seattle? Can they try to do something? Like,
Because
I
even
mean,
with Seattle's offense struggling, they were still more fun to watch. They had explosive runs. Darnold was still hitting some bigger passes.
I think the most telling thing was going into the half. So this is the first half we're talking about. It is 6-0. And Chris Collinsworth is going, they gotta hold the ball. They can't let Seattle get a field goal here. They can't let them go up 9. And it was like 9.
Yep, 9.
I the only time you like 9 is the Minnesota Vikings when they let go of Seattle or Sam Darnold for 9. You know, a 9-point lead is nothing in the NFL, and it felt
Yeah.
like insurmountable.
And well, then you go a step further, and the next time the Seahawks get in a field goal range, they go to kick a field goal, and Mike Tirico's like trying to pull entertainment from anywhere, and he goes, "Man, that snap was really low. Punter really pulling that off the ground to get that down for the kick." And then Chris Collinsworth goes, "Yeah, and if the Seahawks hit one more of those and go up 15, I think that puts the Patriots in a very, very bad situation." It's like 15. Like you already said about 9, but like I thought about it, and I'm like, you know what? The Patriots. If you told me the Patriots scored 15, I would call you crazy. And they only got to 13, and I'm surprised they got that far.
Yeah. It, it's just so frustrating to see a kicker. I mean, it's great. A kicker make his kicks. But when you lose in Chicago, blowing a lead, missing 3 kicks, and then watching a Super Bowl literally be won on field goals, the kicker outscored the Patriots offense. Like, it was just
Yeah. So one of the stats I have on here, I'll just throw into with this. He hit the Super Bowl record 5 field goals. Like I said, he scored 17 of the 29 points, and he actually broke an NFL record, playoffs and regular season combined. 206 points acquired by Jason Myers this year. He broke LaDainian Tomlinson's record, who is I think at 198.
so he still couldn't get MVP.
Nope, apparently not. I was with you when we were texting last night. Like as soon as he hit the fifth, I was
Once
gonna
he
go.
broke the if so I thought it was him, and we
Mm-hmm.
can talk about Ken Walker too. I know we have the stat that, he's the MVP. He did have the second most rushing yards in a Super Bowl, or at least since like Terrell Davis, who won the MVP back in Super Bowl 32, I believe. But he was the 5th player on offense to win MVP without scoring a touchdown. Had, 150 total yards. Okay, you get it. But when he had the breakaway touchdown that ended up getting called back from holding, I was like, okay, he's not going to have 200 total yards. He's going to be the MVP. Then they called it back. I'm like, well, I think that's still on the table for, the kicker. And then Uchenna Nwosa, I believe it was, had the pick 6. I'm like, well, maybe they'll give it to a defensive guy because their defense was so dominant. That's what they did in the Super Bowl against the Broncos. The linebacker got it. I believe he had a pick 6 in that game as well, or maybe he recovered the fumble.
Was it
Had a
Von
bunch of
Miller or was it someone else?
no. Von Miller was on Denver. He was not on Seattle.
Oh,
Uh,
I'm sorry. I'm thinking of the wrong Super Bowl. My bad.
uh, the I believe it was Malcolm Smith or some
Yeah. Okay, I
like
got you.
that 55 to whatever it was, Seattle
Hmm.
domination. And I thought the defense would do that. Maybe a Byron Murphy with his fumble recovery that basically, was the dagger. I mean, you could argue the first kick was the dagger, but like once the turning the ball over inside the 40 on the Drake May strip sack felt like the final straw. Like there's no coming back from this. Obviously, there was the pick 6 after. There was a lot of stuff that still happened, but at that moment, it was like, okay, that for me that was like wrap this thing up. Let's go home. Moment. I thought maybe he could get it. I have no problem with Ken Walker getting it. I just think if there was ever a time that a kicker was going to win it, should have been this game.
Yeah, I agree. And I just don't know if we're ever going to get to the point where we see a kicker win it unless it's like a super ugly 3-0 game and that kicks a walk off or something. Like I feel like it's got to be something absolutely ridiculous that we're not going to see for the next 125 years. Um but I mean,
5 field goals in a game has never happened for a Super
it's
Bowl,
true.
and it
Exactly.
just didn't work.
Yeah. So like I also don't have a problem with giving it to Ken Walker because he was clearly the best offensive player in the game. I believe if you just looked and you're like, he's the one that stood out. But he didn't necessarily do anything special in the point of like Jason Myers broke a record. The only thing that
Yeah.
hurts about a kicker is that they're so reliant on an offense moving the ball that I guess it's harder to give them an MVP. But at the same time, the offense didn't move the ball enough. They should have scored touchdowns instead of field goals.
I I would push back on that, especially say in this new era of, getting the ball at like the 30, 35 and the way kickers are kicking, like they need 15 yards to be in field goal range essentially these days.
Did
So
he kick any of those long ones though? That's the other argument back.
no, I'm not saying in his situation specifically, but I was just saying in general of like the offense needing. I think his longest was like I can just look real quick, but I believe it was like 40 some yards.
Yeah, like they didn't have to put a lot of pressure on him, which still got to go out there and make your kicks, and he did. And he also, I guess, notably was probably the best kicker all season. The Seahawks gave him a lot of opportunities. He barely missed any, obvious by his 206 points acquired through the entire season.
Yeah, I mean he had a really good game. Since we're still kind of on that MVP topic, the one person on the Patriots that I believe deserves an extra shout out, and they talked about it last night. Christian Gonzalez gave his everything. He played some of the best coverage. He was knocking away balls. Uh, he helped keep that game close. Like there was a touchdown that he saved from
JSN.
Rashid Shaheed. Then
Oh,
they
and was
saved
it
it.
was it Rashid Shaheed?
The deep shot that he caught up to
Oh, he
and
actually
dove.
broke one up from JSN as well. Then across the middle,
Yeah,
he broke up two touchdowns.
that was at the end. Like the second drive, there was the deep shot to Rashid Shaheed, and he chased it down. And it might have been the third drive. That doesn't matter. But like he had an incredible game.
Mm-hmm. Oh, 100%. Like, if the Patriots somehow won that game, like, it didn't get out of hand with the defensive touchdown and the turnovers and stuff, and they snuck one out 13-12, like, I think I would have been an argument for him to be MVP.
No, if they would have snuck a win out, I think it would have been. He didn't have the pick or the turnover, which might have made it hard, but
Mm-hmm.
like 3 pass defenses, like, and they were all big time.
Yeah.
I
Plus, I
still
mean, I don't know where the coverage stats looked, but I'm assuming he was on JSN most of the night, and 10 targets, 4 catches, 27 yards. That's a great stat line for whoever covered him.
Yeah, obviously he did get a little bit banged up and left for a drive and a half, but uh the JSN one was impressive because it was like the one that almost caused the turnover. Like he was very close to picking that one off. That might have been right before halftime when they tried to throw that last second. I believe that's when the one to JSN over the middle was.
Yeah, it was the last play before the field goal before half.
Yeah. But
Yes.
the one that's still impressive to me is like being down 2 steps on Rashid Shaheed and tracking the ball and making a diving swat away. Like
Against,
that's
yeah,
their
one of the fastest receivers in the league, honestly, at
yeah.
one point.
So it's still to this day boggles my mind how this man fell to pick 16 or 18 and let him go. I say the same thing about Quinyon Mitchell, excuse me.
Yeah.
Uh, why do we let these elite the Quinyon Mitchell I could kind of see because he was only from Toledo, but like Christian Gonzalez was Oregon, big name school, big time player. Like neither of those guys, they all both fell way farther than they should have. But Christian Gonzalez, one heck of a game. He did everything for his team to try to win that game.
100%. So, yeah, great call out there. Shout out to him. Patriots have a real one there and better lock him up. A rookie who did not do well in the Patriots, though. Their rookie left tackle gave up 14 pressures. I don't know why I accidentally deleted his name off of our rundown.
His name's Will Campbell.
Thank you, Will Campbell. I knew it, and I just totally blanked. Part of the reason why May got sacked 6 times, that was one off the Super Bowl record of 7. But, I mean, he's another one who had a great season, shows a lot of promise, and then he just crumbled in the lights.
Yeah, he had a rough day. There's no doubt about it. I mean, the Patriots in general, they were playing with fire. They had a rookie left tackle, a rookie left guard,
Hmm.
and they got eaten up. Obviously, he got credit with the pressures. Some of those were like inside blitzes that he's still going to get it. I'm not trying to defend his game. It was not a great game whatsoever. I know a lot of people are throwing it back to the short arms argument because he's an offensive tackle that has short arms, got drafted to the top 5. Uh, I think Will Campbell still has the makings to be a good player. He had a rough game. And at some point, your Super Bowl winning offensive coordinator, assistant coach of the year has to realize, like, why is he not getting help? Where is Hunter Henry? Where are the screenplays? Like, where is the quick passing game so much that would, help your quarterback out? Obviously, if you go back and watch, there's a lot of plays that were missed by Drake May that he could have got the ball out quicker and he turned it down and that turned into a pressure or turned into a sack. So it's not all on that, but there was just like where was the helping your players out?
It's true. And the thing I will say is, I think there was a bit of panic that set in because I do feel like on the first drive or two, we did see a lot of good hots off of blitzes and such. But the one I can remember is there was a blitz off that left side. There was a dump down to the flat to Travion Henderson. And as soon as he even touched the ball, he was getting hit by a safety. Like, the Seahawks, it's like the Seahawks really did their homework and did a good job of game planning what Drake May does against the blitz. And they're like, if you blitz him, he's going right out here to the flat. If you blitz him, it's going to be this slant. The Patriots had to do a better job of coming up with creative ways to beat the blitz, and it's like they didn't.
Yeah. It looked like one team had 2 days to prepare and one team had 2 weeks.
Exactly. Someone was playing on a Thursday, and the other team was playing off of a bye week.
For sure.
Um, okay, I think I have 2 more notes on here. So the fun one, the one that I heard getting thrown around. Sam Darnold, the first quarterback from the 2018 draft class to make and win a Super Bowl, a quarterback draft class that included names like Baker Mayfield, Lamar Jackson, and Josh Allen. That's just a fun one.
No, for sure. It's a lot of fun one. Shout out Team Redbeards.
And then the other one that I have, and maybe this is looking a little bit more further. So if there's anything as more specifically you want to talk about the game, throw it in now.
Mm, what didn't we talk about? I think we hit a lot of the key talking points. Obviously, um, there was some big plays. Shout out to the AJ Barner. Uh,
He was
anytime
number 2 on their team, I heard, this year in receptions. Maybe someone will be talking about in the offseason in fantasy.
could be for sure. But also like those first time touchdown scorers. When you were watching the game, before we go on, I'm going another. They showed the equipment staff mixing up yellow Gatorade. Did you think that was a fake out?
A little bit, yes.
So when I saw that, I was like, because when we had this conversation, we both said yellow, and then I switched to purple, so we weren't on the same. But I was feeling yellow too, and I was like, what if they did that, and then like the one that actually gets dumped on them is like red? Because you have to think they have multiple flavors, right? Like I've always assumed that they're not all. Maybe I'm completely wrong, but I would imagine like they have multiple containers. I would assume they're different flavors. And I was like,
Yeah.
what if the one they dump on them is red, but like people saw that and they ran to the bets to put in the yellow. That's interesting, but
They probably closed that market before that point. Or when that happened, they're like, oh no, I see something close. Because,
probably.
the sports books are too smart to let that one slide by. But I honestly did think that it was a fake out because you've never seen a network do that before. But honestly, like I think that we've actually had this conversation on the show. NBC is kind of above and beyond when it comes to their broadcast. So it's interesting that that's something that they thought of when they're like, end of the game, it's in hand. That sideline camera, go get a shot of the Gatorade.
Yeah, I thought the broadcast was good. I One other thing I'll say before you ask me this random question, uh, I really appreciated the referees in this game. I thought they let them play for the most part. I did not think they tried to make the game about themselves. I think what maybe 5 to 7. I don't know what the numbers are, but that is what I guess 5 to 7 penalties called all game. I know they were talking about no penalties before the first half, and then we coincidentally had a false start, but like it might have only been like 4 penalties, like 3 on the Patriots, 1 on the Seahawks or 2 on
It
the
was
Seahawks.
3 on the Patriots, 4 on the Seahawks.
So
Total yardage for both teams only 25 yards. Nothing major.
correct. Nothing like there was a couple like questionable calls, and I thought they made some really good calls too, like uh the potential, like the collision between Hunter Henry and Kobe Bryant in the back of the end zone that looked like Kobe got there early,
Hmm.
but he didn't. He actually had the ground first, and Hunter Henry ran into him, and they just let it go. They were both going for the ball. There was another one over the middle of the field. I in a year or years that we have constantly said the refs are trying to make about the show, I thought this was one of the better officiated games. They let the guys play, and we could just continue to play like this all season. We don't have to save it for the postseason to call games like this.
I agree with that. I honestly forgot the refs existed until this moment when you
Who
brought them
refed?
up.
Who was the head ref?
I don't know.
I was
And
gonna
that's a
say
good thing.
I don't remember who the head ref was. If
No.
it was Sean Hockley or Ron Tolbert, I guarantee I would have remembered his name. But
But no, I didn't remember, and that's a good thing. And I mean, when I think about it, the only penalty I remember happening was on the Ken Walker put away touchdown. They called holding, and it was clear holding. Like, it was a fair call. And that's the only one I think I remember. So the only call that I remember them blowing, I guess
his name
there's
was Sean
two.
Smith. He deserves credit.
Okay. Good job out there to Sean Smith and crew. Um, technically, I don't know if they were right on the. There was a catch on the sideline with, I want to say, Cooper Kupp near the beginning of the game, but that was the Patriots' fault for not challenging. Um, but there was the scrum on the sideline that a punch was thrown and they didn't throw a single flag. Technically, you can say that was a miss, but I prefer them to let it play. It just probably got a little too scrappy for them to let it go.
Can we also talk about the dumbness of this is the NFL. The NFL, the guy threw a punch. It was clear and obvious. He should have been thrown out of the game. You're right. That was a miss. Thank you for reminding me of that.
Yep.
I gave him kudos. That was a miss. But they were like, well, New York can't get involved because there was no penalty on the play. What?
That's
Like,
going to be something they're going to talk about in the offseason with they like New York can overturn penalties but not throw them. I think there's going to be some cases where they're going to be able to throw them.
yeah, or it's not even a penalty. Hey, there was a punch,
Mm-hmm.
ejection.
But
Like,
the rules analyst did say you're not allowed to eject somebody unless there's a penalty.
that could be changed. Like,
That
I don't
can
need
be
that.
changed.
I don't need the New York to be able to like call in and be like, "Oh, you missed the face mask." As much as it would be like, I think some of the human aspect is okay when it's not taken advantage of. However, if there's something like punches being thrown, like that's when you can step in and be like, because
Yeah.
this is like where what happens if there was an illegal formation on that play. So the
Uh-huh.
penalty wasn't thrown for the scrum, but there was a penalty. Like, where is that gray area? Like, those are the kind of questions I don't know the answers to. I'm not going to take the time to look it up, but that's where my head goes. Like, what if
Yeah, I
it
would
was
assume they would not be able to eject him because there wasn't a personal foul called on that guy, but I don't know for sure.
also how come you can look at a play and then drop a flag for, or at least talk about it, which they're talking in New York there, and drop a flag for intentional grounding
Oh
after the
yeah,
play?
because they're gonna say it's not New York, but 100% they're consulting with somebody when
Correct.
they're talking about those. 100%.
So just
Well, it's
just
the same idea as like how many times this isn't a penalty one, but how many times you see a close play on the sideline that's catch or not catch, and the two guys get together and they go whisper, 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 catch.
yeah. Speaking of catches, they weren't like, you know, Odell Beckham behind the back, one handed falling into the end zone highlight catches, but the Ramondre Stevenson and I believe it was Cooper Cup, the
Mm-hmm.
catches that like, did they touch the ground? Did they not?
Yeah.
And especially the Cooper Cup one, because that first angle was like, oh my God, that's a catch. And then the second angle was like, well, it might have touched the ground.
And didn't he get screwed over by the? They called it incomplete on the field, so it was
Correct.
inconclusive. I think he deserved a catch for how he might not have kept it from touching a couple blades of grass, but it definitely didn't. The ground didn't aid him in catching it.
Yeah. And then you had Ramondre Stevenson, where bad ball by Drake May. The best shot is when they show the sideline angle and you see Drake May putting his hands on his head because he thought it was a bad throw. And then he was able to get that off the ground and kind of like backpedal into the end zone. Like everyone like seemed to stop. Like they thought the play was over and he caught that. So
Especially from the guy who's not considered their passing down back, like that's been Travion Henderson's role. That was pretty good. That was maybe highlight reel play of the Super Bowl, even though it was a losing team.
I mean, that and the Mac Hollins
Oh,
catch
yeah.
in the corner from those are the two moments that the Patriots fans look back and be like, those are good plays. And the one is only just a nice catch. The throw was terrible.
Yes, it's so true. Mac Hollins has got to be one of the most interesting players in the league, right? Because he's so insignificant and he's very like, I can replace Mac Hollins. He's Mac Hollins. And then he has a couple plays where it's just like, if you were this all the time, we would be comparing you to some of the greats in the game right now.
Yeah, he is the I'm trying to think of a good comparison for him. Like I'm gonna go to baseball, and I don't know anything about baseball that often.
You're really selling your argument here.
But you might know a better name than me. But I'm gonna go back a couple years. He reminds me of Brock Holt, the dude that was just the ultimate utility infielder that could also play the outfielder. Never batted above the 6th spot. Most likely was batting in the 8 hole, but like just a solid guy that you wanted on your team because he did a little bit of everything. And I feel like that's Mac Hollins.
Yeah. The only other name I can come up with, if we're gonna keep with the baseball references for anyone out there, if you're into baseball, Luis Ariz. He hits like he has a couple of batting titles. He hits over 300, but all he does is hit singles. He can't steal bases, and he can play pretty much every position in the field. So like he's great at some things, but he's like meh.
Yeah. I don't know who that is. So, but I could pull Brock Holt out. That's the interesting of my baseball.
There's your Red Sox knowledge from when you watched more baseball.
If you want to call it that.
Yeah, I don't know. You're a Phillies fan now, so
Go sports ball.
go sports ball. I mean, we got plenty of sports ball happening now with the Olympics, World Baseball Classic soon. Interesting
Yo,
sports year.
shout out Lindsey Vaughn
Oh
trying to
yeah,
make the comeback. Tears her ACL, still competes, clips her arm on the flag, breaks her leg. Tough run.
all the heart, much appreciated for everything that she put out there on the line. It stinks that she couldn't medal and had to go down that way, but
For
to do
sure.
that at 41 with a half replaced knee and an torn ACL on the other is crazy.
Yeah. But we should get back to the Super Bowl because you still had a question or something that you wanted to ask me.
I did. So I'm going to kind of look forward a little bit, and we can definitely look way more forward on Thursday. We're going to have some ridiculous conversations, I'm sure. Combined 15 punts in this game, just to kind of, impact like how it was a very meh game. And this kind of seemed very reminiscent to what a lot of the season was like. So I ask you, what happened to offense this season, and will it rebound in 2026?
No. This isn't a this season problem. This has been a trajectory problem for the last couple years. We are seeing, everyone always talks about the NFL being cyclical. It goes in cycles.
Mhm.
The name of the game in the NFL right now is play two safeties deep, make teams go the distance, and try to limit points, limit them to field goals, hold them out to punts. That's why you're seeing the lack of big plays, the lack of explosives. To counter that, you're seeing a lot more teams go into the two tight end personnel or the heavy packages with the extra offensive linemen and trying to get those explosives on the ground. You get one or two, big breakaways, like, and if you have an elite running back like a Jameer Gibbs or a Bijan Robinson, you'll see those a couple more. But the game is played differently. This isn't the spread them out play, all over the field kind of league right now. It's a lot of bend don't break, and I hate that term because there was nothing bend don't break about what the Seahawks did last night. They were aggressive, they dictated, but they still played a lot of zone, sat back, and we're going to make the Patriots go the distance. They just couldn't do it.
Yeah, that's very true. And I don't think I was going to go quite as aggressive with the answer as you, but there's definitely something to it because you think back to the golden age of offense in the NFL, at least in modern history, is probably like the mid 2010s. We were seeing multiple 5,000 yard passers a game or a season, and quarterbacks were in the spotlight and everything. Like, and then I guess even the later 2010s is probably where we really found the biggest hit of that. And then since 2020, when defenses started going into that more prevent style, we saw the resurgence of the running back. Like the running back was dead when it came to contracts, and now all of a sudden, in the last few years, people are valuing the running back position again. And I don't, there's only been two 5,000 yard passers on the leaderboard. I don't know if there's been two total or not, but it's got to be pretty low since 2020. So major difference, and that stat alone shows you how much the game has changed. Um, I do think it's going to rebound. I don't think it's going to be in 2026, but I do think there has to become a point where we're not going to, like, this season feels like a breaking point to me. One, because the NFL itself is a brand and entertainment, and they want offense because offense, it makes money and is entertaining. So I wouldn't be shocked if there's a couple of things that kind of get thrown into like rule suggestions and such to try to raise offense or handcuff defenses. Some things are going to be absolutely ridiculous and they're never going to do. Like you can't put two safeties back. Like that kind of stuff is never going to happen. It's just going to be impossible for refs to enforce it, and it's going to be like, why are you telling me I can't play defense? But I think there's going to be some things that start to try to promote the passing game even more again. And it's probably going to be met with a lot of scrutiny, but we'll see how it works in the long run. Plus, we're going to get to a point where those dominant running defenses have to adjust to. Like, it doesn't matter if you're playing back so far with your two safeties to stop teams from having big plays. But there's going to eventually be enough solid running offenses that teams are going to be like, well, we can't just let teams keep scoring 10-play drives all game. We're going to have to do something about it. And then that's when the quarterback can start to open it back up. I just don't think we've gotten to the point where those dominant rushing teams have done enough damage to make defenses adjust regularly.
Yeah, I agree, but I also disagree. And what I disagree in is I think in today's NFL, and again, I think eventually, or are we talking 5 years, 10 years?
Yeah.
Like it'll probably come back because the NFL goes in cycles. However, the current mindset is it's takes longer to drive than it does to fly. So the defensive coordinators, they're okay giving up almost 4 yards per carry because they know offensive coordinators aren't going to stick with that. They're going to get in the mindset of like, all right, we need points, we need a big play here, we need that. And you talk about this year, and will it rebound? Like this year was like the highest average points per game in the last five. And it,
Doesn't feel like it. But
exactly
yeah,
like, but that's, and the other thing I'll disagree with is you talk about the NFL being an entertainment business. The only thing that's more important than offense is keeping everyone in the game. And this year we talked about it. There's no, next year there's no clear cut number one team. Yeah, Seattle looks primed to potentially run it back if they, but they're going to lose their offensive coordinator. We just talked about the AFC, like they like the diversity. I heard someone say once, and I think it is the truest thing ever. The NFL wants every team to be 9-8.
that's very true because they want everyone in the final week. It's
They
never going
they
to happen like that,
they want the
obviously.
most chaotic situations, not knowing. Like the NFL doesn't like the 14 win extreme dominant team that, like, they don't want the 19-0 team that is putting up fireworks each and every week. They would rather have everybody be closer in the middle. And I think too, another thing to think about, we can talk more about this on Thursday too, not to go down an extreme rabbit hole, is the owners already want to limit the capabilities of the salary cap, getting rid of void years, getting rid of the true manipulation aspect of it. And I think that is only going to bring teams closer together. You're going to have like, it's going to be just fascinating. And that's why I think like try to enjoy, I mean, fan how you want, I don't care, but try to enjoy the games for what they are. Like this Super Bowl, was it flashy? No, but the dominant performance you saw from Seattle was worthy of a championship.
Yeah, I mean, the interesting thing about it, and maybe it didn't lead to a lot of hype, and maybe that was even the Patriots side and the AFC more than it was the Seahawks and the NFC, is just they weren't even a team. Like they were the one seed. I can't say they weren't. We didn't believe in them having the shot and everything else. They were the best record in the NFC, but there were probably 3, 4 teams that we could argue like, I think they would get a win over the Seahawks. And the big one being the Rams, but like people question how good Chicago was, and Chicago played very well. Was Philly going to rebound? They're the defending champs. We don't know. I mean, I think the only team in the NFC that teams people really said didn't have a shot was Carolina,
Yeah.
and it's good to a sense of like, hey, everyone was still in it. Everyone had a shot, but at the same time, I think that in the end, it kind of took away the hype when it was like the team that, oh, if there's anybody that's going to stand out, it's going to be this, wasn't the Seahawks, and they were the team that got through. The AFC is probably very similar because the big names, for the most part, were out.
Yeah, and I think that's a bigger problem that, you know, this is anything, you're never going to satisfy everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Like some years you love the underdog story.
Yep.
You hated the underdog story this year because it was the New England Patriots. And our
Fair.
generation is tired of seeing them win.
Mm-hmm.
Like
And I mean, I don't think it
if
really
this was the
helps that it's a
Jacksonville
different.
Jaguars versus the Seahawks and the Jaguars got smoked like the Patriots did, like there would have still been a lot more people rooting for the Jaguars and was like, man, that game sucked, but great season for the Jaguars. They finally did something. You know,
Mm-hmm.
but the Patriots, they've been out for like 3 years. It feels like. I mean, obviously it was longer than that, and I get that. And Patriot fans are like, we've now lost 6 times in the Super Bowl, more than any other franchise, so we know about losing. You've also won more than any other franchise, so I don't, excuse me, don't care about that. Like to your point, and we said this last week, the best game was the NFC Championship game. That was the Super Bowl. The winner of that game was going to win when we knew it was the Patriots, and I feel like we've seen that more and more as of late. The conference championship games become the games of the year. The Super Bowl is just crowning the best team that is left.
Yeah, and I'm not saying that there's times where the Super Bowl isn't the best game of the year, but a lot of times, yeah, the championship games are the best games of the year, and I think some of it even comes down to familiarity because number of times that's not the first matchup between two teams when they're facing off in a championship game. Sometimes it's the third, like it was in the case of the Seahawks and the Rams. But I don't know. I don't think it helps this case too. Just thinking about it, because like yeah, the underdog was the Patriots, and people are still tired of having the Patriots there because they weren't gone for long, and you know that franchise having more wins than anybody else. The Seahawks weren't exactly an intriguing story either. Like I mean, you latch onto the Sam Darnold thing, really good for him, but I don't think a lot of people loved the Seahawks when they were back, you know, on their run in the mid 2010s either. They were a very character heavy team that was very polarizing, and you didn't have a, you know, you either hated them or loved them and there was no in between. And I know this is a completely different team, but it's hard sometimes to separate when you're in that different you know, you're in that different era, when you're just trying to remember like, oh, last time they were here I hated them, so it's hard for me to just love them all of a sudden.
I think the only difference is between that is like the Seahawks weren't an underdog. They were probably the best team, especially after the trade deadline when they shored up their special teams. The best team from top to bottom. You know, the Rams, as much as everyone loved them, they have the coach, they have Matt Stafford, they have Puka, they have the offensive weapons. Their special teams was a joke. The dude got fired 3 weeks left in the season, and it came back to bite them
And their
again.
defense was meh.
Their defense was meh. Like, obviously, the Eagles reeling because that organization right now is in dysfunction. The Chicago, they're the complete opposite. They are bad, 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 really good in the fourth quarter, and that's fun to watch. It makes the games entertaining, but like you could never buy in that. Like, when does that luck run out? Green Bay banged up. The Panthers, you talk about like this. So all the teams there, like I think the part of the is like Seattle was the one seed that nobody wanted to believe was so good, and they just put on a 3-game performance of why they're the best team.
In a much harder schedule to the end than the Patriots had.
Yeah. I mean, there's no better like I don't know if you saw the pregame Kyle Shanahan, coach of the 49ers, was on talking to NBC, and they're like, "So, what are you talking about? You know, how would you go about if you're the New England Patriots?" And of course, I'm paraphrasing to beat the Seattle Seahawks, and they're like, "Look, I've scored 6 points in the last 2 games against this team. I don't know why you would ask me." And that's regarded as one of the best offensive play callers. Like, I think there was just a lack of I don't wanna say respect because I think everybody respected the Seahawks, but a lack of acknowledgement because they played in a conference where all the records were, is actually how good Seattle was. Maybe it's some of the East Coast, West Coast, they're, playing a lot of the 4 o'clock games. They weren't getting a lot of the primetime games that the Rams and the 49ers have traditionally. Like, Seattle was just a really good team, probably the best team consistently all season long, and when you look back at it, the best team won the Super Bowl this year.
Yep. And I think that's kind of why I said a few weeks ago we didn't realize it sooner. And part of it probably has to do with not believing in Sam Darnold. When is playoff Sam going to come out? He never did. Um, they were probably the third most hyped team in their division because the Rams had all the hype because they had the big offense. Matt Stafford's been there before, etc. The 49ers are always a team that no one wants to put down because of Shanahan, but they were banged up, but they just kept winning, and everyone's like, maybe they have the magic touch. There was always Philly. If they figured out an offense, they could be good. The Bears were the team that people, wanted to root for because they were the cardiac kids and they were fun to watch because they were never out of a game. Not that we could ever buy in that they were actually good. Like when you're naming those 5 teams, matched up with the Seahawks, everyone's gonna just be like, well, the Seahawks are boring, but that boring was actually them playing the best ball of any team. It just wasn't what we wanted to see because it wasn't the most exciting product.
Yeah, and you mentioned Sam Darnold, and I do think he deserves more credit than we're giving to him because everyone's talking about like, oh, last year when the lights came on, look at him crumble. He led the league in turnovers with 20 turnovers this year between picks and fumbles. Didn't turn over at once in the playoffs.
Only team to ever do that, I believe,
Well,
and win a Super Bowl.
gotcha. I was gonna
I'm
say,
pretty sure only team to ever do that and win a Super Bowl. If I heard the stat correctly last night,
did they not have a single turnover? Is that what
no,
you're saying?
not a single turnover in the playoffs and won a Super Bowl. I
Gotcha.
thought the Eagles had that last year, but apparently they had one, so I was just off.
I think Hurts did throw a pick against Green Bay, but for
Yeah,
or something like that.
yeah.
But someone compared it to the Flacco run. Flacco was turning the ball over and then went like nuclear in the playoffs of turning over, hitting the deep shots and stuff. I was like, that's a really good comparison. Like Joe Flacco, Sam Darnold might be a closer comparison than we think.
So
Uh,
is he elite? I'm just kidding.
we're not going to get into that. We're not going to get into how Drew Brees is a first ballot Hall of Famer on this episode. We do not have time, but congrats to him. Uh, anyways, the I wanted to give him credit. I thought, like I said, I think there was just an overarching, I think you put it, the sometimes you have to eat your vegetables to get to dessert. And the Seattle Seahawks are your vegetables. They're just reliable, the best team. And we didn't get dessert after this meal. Bringing it back to food for the comment from the dude that was like, oh, 2 guys talking about football that has never played. That's why it's called the couch GMs. We're very obvious about the situation. That's why I also don't read the comments.
Oh, I commented back too. I try to treat our channel on social media like Wendy's sometimes, and sometimes it probably doesn't work, but maybe it's entertaining for people out there if you want to read the comments. So go
I
follow
also
us.
don't think we care. We
No,
like to have fun.
you see, the other thing is in my day job, I control a social media channel and I have to be nice. So this is how I get my anger out in social media.
I like it.
And Cody's supportive, so I'm good with it.
I didn't even see the clapback because I just like I don't need to go to the comments anymore.
It's a hard job sometimes, but I try to make the best of it.
All right. Final question. Wrap up the Super Bowl.
Yep.
Seattle wins in I don't know the exact amount of time. I should have looked up the number. We'll say 200 days.
Mm-hmm.
Seattle is going to kick off a home game against who? And just for a refresher, anyone listening at home, their options are the Cardinals, the Rams, the 49ers. Obviously, there's the division. Non-division, you have the Cowboys, Giants, Chiefs, Chargers, Bears, and Patriots if you want a Super Bowl rematch. Where are you leaning?
Who did we say the Rams are facing in Melbourne?
San Fran.
Okay, so knock those two out. I'm assuming that's a week 1 game.
We think. But as
Yeah.
if they're not, I think it's so I agree. I'm taking them off the board. If it's not, it's the Rams.
Yeah, that's the reason I started there. Because my first two thoughts were Rams 49ers. Because if it can't be the Rams, if they were playing someone else, I'm like 49ers seem like a good option there. It's a NFC divisional rematch too. And divisional round and divisional game. That was kind of confusing the way I said that. But I am thinking between the Chiefs if they're confident Mahomes is going to go week 1. They wouldn't put. I don't think they would put the Chiefs in that position if at the point of schedule creation they are doubting Mahomes. So my thought is maybe a Super Bowl rematch.
Okay. So I think the Super Bowl was so overmatched that they're not going to put it like that. Feels like the week 4 Sunday night game that's just like Super Bowl rematch. And it's like maybe it's a Monday night game. I don't know. So I'm going to take.
We're far enough down the list then. Are you going Dallas?
So I think it's the Rams, but I'm with you. I tend to think that Melbourne game might be early in the season, week 1. So we're going to take them up. I'm taking the Chiefs off because I don't think they risk it having no Mahomes in your first game. So then it leads me to 3 teams. And which there's the Cowboys because it's Dallas. They bring in numbers, right?
And they were in the opening game this year.
So
I mean, it was divisional against the Eagles, a little different, but still, they're bringing the numbers. You're right.
then there was the Bears. That one I think is very intriguing.
Mm-hmm.
And that's probably where I'm leaning towards the most. Is I think it's going to be Seattle, Chicago.
Okay.
In the 1 and 2 seeds from last year. Obviously, they didn't play in the playoffs, but that's what you get. If not, I think the Giants. John
Some hype
Harbaugh,
around Harbaugh.
the hype around Harbaugh. This would feel very similar to, and I don't know if I actually believe the Giants are that good, but very similar to what heck was that 5 seasons ago now, 4 seasons ago, when out of nowhere it was Chiefs Lions, and
The
the Lions
Lions
pulled
coming
the
out party. Yeah.
yes. And I could see the Giants being something like that. Maybe you could throw the Chargers in there too as like the Mike McDaniel, Justin Herbert kind of situation. But I'm leaning the Bears, Cowboys because it's the Cowboys, and then if not, let's throw the Giants in there as just some random. They also would pull a good crowd. They still have a good following. John Harbaugh. It is what it is.
I think you might have convinced me on Bears, because it'd be a very intriguing matchup of Bears. Are they real from last year? They were the 2 seed 1-2 matchup. Sounds great. And as much as I think it's going to be Rams, if that game 1 Melbourne, that Melbourne game is not week 1, I don't know if I want it to be, because you don't always get the best product in week 1, and we saw how entertaining Rams Seahawks could be 3 times this year. Make that like a week 3 Monday night game, Sunday night game, something like that.
Give me Rams Seahawks week 1, week 17, 18, week 18.
That'd be something.
Open and close. Rams Seahawks. I think that'd be a lot of fun. Speaking of the Rams, I know we talked a lot about it. We didn't go over rewards and recaps and stuff like that as we're going to wind down out of here. Matt Stafford did announce when he won MVP that he's coming back next year. So we don't have to do that off season.
Called that.
So
he's going to run it back. I was reading between the lines in his press conferences.
So only Rodgers watch coming up.
Oh yeah, Rodgers watch.
Anything else from this game, this football season? Something you need to get off your chest? I'm impressed that you didn't go on a tangent about, the Seahawks would have been even better if Zach Charbonnet would have, missed more
Oh, the
time.
Seahawks would have been the Seahawks would have been way better if Zach Charbonnet missed time. You want to really have me go down that tangent?
Is he back?
Ken Walker or Zach Charbonnet?
Ken Walker.
I think he's going to somewhere to get a big contract. And I think the Seahawks are delusional enough that they're going to be like, we don't need you. We have Charbonnet and George Holani.
So I do think I think the contract is going to be big, and I do think he tends to leave because the contract is going to be big.
Mm-hmm.
I do think there is something to he's a very good runner, but he doesn't catch the ball well, and he's not the best blocker. Now, obviously, the name is running back, so running should be the clear priority, but those other parts of the game, I think make it an interesting decision, so to speak. But
Yeah. No, I get it. And maybe that's why he doesn't get money with Seattle, but he goes to another team that's desperate per se. And I think the desperate choice for where he lands this offseason is Dallas. He feels like someone that Dallas would be like, we just had a running back come in, had a great year. We realized the running game's important. Let's go get a guy longer term. He goes there. The other team I think that's near the top of the odds to get him that would be very intriguing is Denver.
Denver would be intriguing. Dallas, they're going to have to work some cap magic to figure out how they're going to get him. They are in the bottom 5 of cap space available. Obviously, that's before cuts and restructures and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
take those numbers with a grain of salt. But I think maybe just winning the Super Bowl and MVP gets them to say Seattle they're number 5 in terms of cap space available heading into the offseason. Maybe they can swallow that. Or maybe not. Maybe they're like, okay, we'll take a 3rd round pick next year. We'll roll with Zach Charbonnet and Holani and draft someone and be very good.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not saying they're going to be bad if they let Ken Walker go, but I think he's earned a shot to stay there and get more carries away from Charbonnet than he had this year. But that's me forever a Zach Charbonnet hater.
Houston would be fun for Ken Walker too.
Ooh. Yeah, they have a couple of aging guys, and we don't
Yeah.
know about Woody Marks. That'd be pretty interesting for sure.
Agreed.
Okay. One more thing. I guess I'll just keep adding on the one more thing. I have Super Bowl odds pulled up for next year. I don't know if you've looked at this or not. So if you haven't, who do you think is at the top? Give me your guess top 5.
Projected top 5. I'm going to say the Chiefs are still up there.
They are not in the top 5.
I'm surprised by that.
They're in the top 10.
Okay. I would say they'll probably put Seattle in the top 5 to run it back.
Seattle tied first.
I think Baltimore is up there.
Baltimore is tied third, so I'm going to say top 6 because there's 3 teams tied third.
Hopefully Green Bay is up there.
They are 4th, technically. I mean, I guess that's what 7th.
So they're the next group of ties.
They're the next. So yeah, Baltimore plus 1,300, Green Bay plus 1,400.
So probably Buffalo.
Buffalo is number 3.
So I need number
1,100.
And then the Rams.
Number 2. The Rams are the other team tied first. So it's Seattle and LA at plus 950. Buffalo plus 1,100. One of the teams in the 3-way tie in the next group is the Baltimore Ravens. Like you said, there's 2 more.
At plus 1,300 or plus
1,300.
And you said Green Bay's at 14.
Green Bay's at 14. Chiefs are at 15.
Trying to think through the teams here real quick. Do they have New England that high?
They do. I was a little bit surprised to see that. I thought they would have been down with the group of Chiefs and Chargers. Not that it's that much different.
And that's where I would put Chicago, but maybe Chicago's even lower. I can see
Chicago plus 25. They don't have much faith in that being a sustainable solution in Chicago, and I can't say I blame them.
Did they make a playoffs this year, or is this like the Lions come back?
They made the playoffs this year. They might have won recently.
The Eagles?
Yeah, plus 1,300.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I was. That's according to DraftKings, not a sponsor, but could be. Um, I was a little bit surprised. I don't know if I would have changed it a ton, but I definitely would have changed it a little bit. Denver down there below the 49ers, Chiefs, and Chargers. I think they deserve a little bit of credit. I think the only reason they didn't get to the Super Bowl is because of losing Knicks. Um, but they're still only plus 1,800. It's not like they were that disrespected.
Yeah. All right, one more thing,
Love this
because
one
why
more
not?
thing.
Uh, in the just made me think of this. You talked about Super Bowl odds. I don't know if you saw the stat. Just want to throw it out there. In the time of our lives when everyone is trying to build a new stadium with a roof,
Hmm.
this was the first playoffs ever that every game was held outside.
Wow. Okay.
Or I think ever it might have been like the last 30 years or something like that. But
That's actually a crazy
ev-
stat.
every game was held outside,
And they had
like
a
football
couple
is
of
intended
snow
to be.
games, and yeah,
So
man, that's impressive. Cool. I'm glad Buffalo's open up a new stadium next year that doesn't have a full roof. I'll take the canopy. I was very envious being an East Coast guy watching that 67-degree Super Bowl yesterday. I don't know about you.
yeah, I did slightly miss the roof when it was the halftime time and we couldn't turn the lights out. But we're an
That's
hour
also
in.
part being West Coast. Like if you played that somewhere on the East Coast without a roof, it would have been dark.
Yeah, but we're an hour in. I feel like this I can talk about it. I thoroughly enjoyed the Bad Bunny performance.
Yeah, me too.
I'm not I've heard his music before. Obviously, I don't speak Spanish. I know what it was. The production value alone made it entertaining enough to watch. The vibes were great. It was a ton of fun. I enjoyed it a lot.
I mean, as the kids say these days, I think I'm sounding old. It slapped. Um,
Dude, I feel like that's like out. Like I don't think
it
people say
probably is. It's
slapped it anymore.
probably yeah, cool. I'm not hip. It's fine. No, really though, like it says something that you could enjoy the production and get an idea of what the story was without actually understanding it, and it was still a jam. Like you still felt good listening to it, and like it was very impressive to me also how like it wasn't even as over the top as like when you go back to like the top end that golden era of Super Bowl halftime show with Left Shark and Katy Perry flying what on the huge what was it lion
Well,
thing.
I think it
Like
was
the
a
production value wasn't that over the top, but it was still like visually pleasing.
no. I the thing that you said story. It told a story.
Yes.
It was understandable, even in different language. Like the it was very good. Like the guests they brought out to come in and sing, whether it was Lady Gaga or I believe Ricky Martin's his name, and some people are like, "How did you not know?" Yeah, whatever. Like they were solid enough people, but it didn't overshadow Bad Bunny's performance. The fall through the roof to the edited pre-shot transition to kicking down the door and coming back out. One of my favorite things I've seen at a halftime show.
Hmm.
The finding out later that the people in they were bushes were
Yeah.
people and watching them running on and off the field. It was a lot of fun. And he had more yards than the Patriots, so at least until the fourth quarter.
I'm glad you also enjoyed it. I did too. All those points definitely make sense. It's nice that we get to kind of graduate from Left Shark now and move on to You Were a Bush in the halftime show.
Yeah. Honestly, yeah, I enjoyed it.
Yeah, me too.
He could come back. They should do something fun. I like it. Let's do more of uh, you know, things that we're not used to. Like I'd appreciate that.
Yeah,
And I
get
think the
excited
NFL has
about it.
done a good job of, getting some diversity and, obviously Kendrick Lamar last year, another I enjoyed the halftime show. Not everyone's gonna like Kendrick Lamar. Not everyone's gonna like Bad Bunny. Next year, heck, it could be if it was Taylor Swift, not everybody's gonna love it's not gonna be Taylor Swift, but if it was, not everyone's gonna love Taylor Swift, but still get a lot of views.
Yep.
Uh but I like that approach that they're taking of, trying to hit different demographics, give more people platforms and stuff like that. So
Maybe we'll get a country music halftime show in the next 3 years.
That one intrigues me. I'm
It's
not a big.
interesting because of how much country's moving into the pop space. That like
So
you got to think there's a chance that it could happen, and I'm
I feel like
interested
it.
to see how the NFL navigates it because you also got to think there. I mean, the reason that we're going to some of these other artists is you're trying to be more inclusive worldwide too, and not just in the U.S. But I mean, it's they're still finding people with insane entertainment value.
Yeah. So the name that I keep thinking of. So I do think we'll eventually get a country halftime episode or performance, but the names. I mean, obviously Taylor Swift could technically check the boxes. That's how she started.
Yeah.
The same with Miley Cyrus. I think she would, she could check the country box if she wanted to.
Mm-hmm.
But the name I keep going back to is Post Malone. I don't know if he's
I
quite.
do think Post Malone would be a great halftime show.
Yeah, I think and he's definitely blown up even more over the last couple of years. I think he'd be good. I actually thought about this last night and went to look and see when the next Super Bowl was in Texas, because I think he would, like, if it was held in Texas, he would be a great one. But they don't have that far out. They only have the next 3. So
And next
we
year's in
Los Angeles,
LA again.
then Atlanta, then Las Vegas. So we have to look. They don't have Super Bowl 30 out yet.
Gotcha.
And by the time it's in Texas, it might be a different person. So
It's true. I mean, just because he's from Texas and has those ties doesn't mean he can't be a halftime show elsewhere. But you're right
correct.
though, because he would kind of he ticks a couple of boxes because he is in the country space, but he was also in the
pop, the rap,
pop and
like
the rap space. Yeah, exactly.
so. I think that'd be a ton of fun. But we have all the time that we're to talk about that. Anything else you want to talk about this game? Halftime show. Shout out Pedro Pascal for being there, dancing. Didn't expect that. Didn't put that on my bingo card. But it is what it is.
No, I think I'll finally stop our chain of one more thing, but I'll give you the option to say one more thing.
All right, I'll say one more thing. It is time for me to hit this button, which means the music is going to start playing in your ear, and I'm going to start doing my little spiel. If you made it over this hour, we preview everything that's going to happen during the off season. Make sure you join us. It'll be a lot of fun. We'd love some questions in the chat. We'd love to, just have a good old time about, reminiscing about the season before we go on a little bit of a hiatus. But even when we're not talking weekly, make sure you're following us social media at the Couch GMs, Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, X, all those good places. We'll see you on Thursday. I'm Cody Roadcap. That's George Kurth. Talk to you all then.